This video will be concerned with websites and with some of the aspects of marketing the website. In particular, what is now known as the 5 Ps. So first of all, we want to start with planning. All effective work involves planning, organizing, control, and monitoring. So if work is to be effective, it must have various components. It must be carefully planned out. And this applies more or less to any piece of work. It must be carefully planned out. It must be organized. It must be controlled to make sure that it's following the plans. And it must be monitored to ensure conforming with the plans and that the outcome is in accordance with that expected. The traditional paradigm for gathering data, evaluating alternatives and selecting the plan is not appropriate in the context of the web. So generally speaking, when we consider going about a task, we normally collect data about the particular task or about the situation that we're interested in, and we evaluate alternatives. We look at other possibilities, and then we select the plan based on the data we've gathered and the various alternatives we've considered. However, in the context of the internet, or context of the web, this is not necessarily appropriate. A new and flexible approach is required for commerce on the web. So commerce on the web has a new set of rules, a different set to the more traditional set which applies to commercial activities in a non-internet setting, in a more traditional setting. So the internet is different. It has different requirements, and there are different features that need to be taken into account. Traditional and bureaucratic organizations often go about setting up a site by forming a committee from policies and then to discuss the strategies. So generally speaking, that's the route into many website, or to the establishment of many websites. Some sort of organizational committee is formed, and they'll look at different policies and what should be included and what's not included on the site, and it'll be debated and discussed, and then perhaps a webmaster will be approached who has got expertise in doing this, and the site will be delivered and will bring about the success or perhaps even the failure of some strategies that were discussed at the earlier stages. So generally speaking, it's a traditional and quite a bureaucratic procedure in many organizations. This is often a waste of time and may involve the loss of strategic advantage. Sometimes people talk about it too much. They talk about it, they discuss it, they debate it, they meet again, they have counter proposals. It's bureaucracy. And after a while it's too late. They have lost the initiative. Their competitors are in and have established themselves and are selling online or have taken their spot, and now they have to fight to gain a place because they discover that their customers are using the web and they've been left behind. They were dragging their feet. They were discussing it too much, perhaps. So creating a commercial website, a more appropriate strategy may be to set up online and then grow the site in line with evolving strategies and policies. So why not simply start the site, make it as professional looking as possible, engage a good webmaster who will make it look professional, but have it as a very empty sort of site, not a really highly populated site. But as the organization grows and it becomes more sophisticated and also becomes more trustworthy worthy of the internet, it'll start to populate the site, and the site will grow as the organization grows and as the organization gains confidence in this type of technology. So maybe the best move is to start a site, albeit a very simple site, but looking professional, but with perhaps little content other than some basic content, and then let the site develop add pages as required. Speed, commitment and quality are essential ingredients in site delivery. The commitment of a senior member of management is important to ensure speedy decisions. So commercially, organisations should have a commitment to the site, and they should have a senior member of staff involved who will champion the whole site through, who will make sure that the site is delivered, and it's delivered to reflect well on the organisation. It's professional looking and it has the capacity to grow, as I said, when more data is available and when the organisation changes strategies and adds new products, the site can grow and can be updated. A thorough review of all aspects of the business, the processes, the products, production, people, distribution and customer requirements needs to take place. So it's important that the site reflects the mission statement of the organisation. It reflects what the organisation is about, and it reflects the attitude of the organisation towards its customers and towards the people working for the organisation and for the wider stakeholders. It also looks at the efficiency of the organisation and its green credentials, the fact that it's caring for the environment. So it's projecting a very positive image of itself. And it's looking at the products in terms of the innovation and the changes and the savings that are made as a consequence of their innovative work. So it's a very positive presentation of the organisation. A skill audit and restructuring in line with a new business may be required. A skills audit means asking people what they can do and how they want to be involved with the site. And if they're enthusiastic and they've got certain skills, perhaps bring them in and form a small committee and a small grouping who are interested in the site, who are enthusiastic, and who will get information from within the organisation and present it in a positive light, one that endorses the organisation. Important considerations are customer acquisition and retention. The site should help to acquire customers, and it should keep the customers, it should engage the customers. So it should give a facility for the customers to give feedback and perhaps have a blog where they can discuss particular issues and where help can be given to customers regarding how to use the product and how to maintain it and how to look after it and so on. So it's a useful site for the customers of the product. Look at customer relations policies. Look at how the customers are treated and how the customers can contact the organisation, and make it easy for the customers to contact the organisation. Have communications facilities perhaps on the site so that they can click a couple of links and they will get help. Make it easy for the customers. And look at competitive advantage. Look at what the competitors are doing and see if the site can outmaneuver them. It has a better design and easier navigation. It looks better, it looks more professional. It says more about the organisation and it incorporates values and projects values that customers can relate to. And talk about outsourcing and talk about the possibilities that may exist for outsourcing opportunities, and also talk about the control that the organisation maintains on any products which are outsourced to ensure that the customers know that it's the organisation who is responsible for the quality and delivery of those products. And try to get a partnering policy. Try to link up with other sites. Link up with sites who have perhaps different functionality, but who will benefit from the customers of the company's site going to them, and the company will benefit from their customers looking at its site. It's a relationship that the two sites could build. Or it might be a relationship between the company and an ISP. But try to widen the scope of the involvement with the internet by trying to get partners so that there's a wider possibility of clicks, a wider possibility of people accessing the site. And the site design, the branding and delivery, make sure that the site downloads fast. It doesn't have big graphics which are slowing it down, particularly if people are accessing it on mobile phones or on laptops or accessing it on the move. Ensure that the site is friendly in the sense that it'll download fast, but also it looks good and it has functionality. It's of interest. And it goes along with the image of the organization. And try to mention that the organization has a corporate commitment to total quality management. It really is trying to develop the quality of the product in the interest of the customer. It is trying to ensure that the final product is of exceptional quality at a price which is affordable. Organizing. Well, a commercial website may be viewed as a contemporary picture of the organization. It's contemporary because the website should be up to date. It shouldn't have broken links, and it should not be abandoned. It should not be put up and just be abandoned. It should be updated on a regular basis, perhaps once a week or even more frequently. And there should be a facility where any contact with the site from customers is passed on to emails, or blogs are checked, or the communications through the site are dealt with in a speedy manner, I should say, in a speedy manner. It should be informative and portray the appropriate corporate image. It should help customers, as I said before, with how to use the product and how to maintain it and where to get it and the price and the different types of product. It should be informative. It should help the customer making a decision. And it should have a hook to get return visits. A hook means that once the customers have accessed the site, they should really bookmark it because it's a site they want to come back to. It's of interest. It's got something about the site that makes them interested, not just about the product, but about some aspect of the site which has been put up as well. It could be about the innovation that the company is now looking into, and or the technology that it's using, or it could be just articles put up by the management or the employees about certain aspects of the product or of the market, or even stories about people who have bought the product and how they use the product. And these are a hook because people want to read about them and they will return to the site. A hook means they will go back and look at the site again. The business should run training courses to develop team working and ownership in the development and constant evolution of the site. The site should be updated on a regular basis, as I said, but it should also be kept up to date technologically. It should look at what's the trends in terms of development of sites. The idea of sites now on mobile phones is well established, and the site should be able to scale itself, what it's called responsive. The site should be responsive to whether it's a mobile phone or a desktop or a laptop, different sizes of screen. The site should automatically present itself in for different sizes, so it's easy to read. And the site should also have perhaps video or sound, but it shouldn't have unnecessary animations and unnecessary graphics. It just slows down the whole process. And unnecessary animations may look childish. It may look like it's not a professional site. So care has to be taken. So it's always worth getting many comments about the site before it goes live to see if people, let's say workers, management, even people from the outside could be asked to look at the site and give their honest opinions so that the site can be tweaked before it goes live, because it does reflect on the organization and on the image of the organization. Controlling, well, websites should be considered in design and policy. The design should include colour, font, animations and navigation. It's important that the site looks good. Now what I mean by looks good is very difficult to define. We only know it looks good when we see one. But professional webmasters are skilled people who know what the current trends are and the current fashions are, and what colours work with what colours and what fonts are easy to read. So it should be carefully thought out. It may include advertisements and plugins, but it must be consistent in its use of tables, frames and graphics. So it may have plugins, but the plugins themselves should fit in with the rest of the site. They should not stand out from the site. And any links off the site should open in separate browsers, so that when they're closed down, the people go back to the original site. The projection of an appropriate corporate image is important, and this should be consistent with the site design and the nature of the business. The whole site should reinforce the corporate image. The whole site should reinforce the messages that are coming out from the marketing department, the messages about what customers expect and what the competitors are doing, so that the site is helping the organization put out its message and put out the reputation that it's reputable, good quality, good value for money. The business may consider the establishment of a spider team. That means a strategic planning for internet dissemination, evaluation and retrieval. A spider team essentially is one that looks at the site and makes sure that the site is delivering to some corporate guidance. The corporate guidance being from the marketing department and from the senior management. This is the image that the company wishes to project, and it should therefore support that image, and the site should be scrutinized to make sure that it's effectively delivering that image. It should be evaluated. Such a team may design templates and set out guidelines for the site's development. It may be the case that a spider team may have various proposals and then take them to management, perhaps once a month or whatever, at a short meeting, present the various designs, get the management's comments, and then perhaps narrow it down to 2 or 3, and then have focus groups and involve wider participation in the decision process, and then finally report back to management about what the feedback said, and then go with that design. Monitoring results. Well, it's straightforward to gather statistics on a site, generally speaking, asking people if they like the site or not. It might be attitudinal. They might have to use a Likert scale, an attitudinal scale. So they grade their preferences from 0 to 5 or 0 to 7. On a scale of 0 to 5, how much did you like this site? A 4 or a 3 or a 5 or whatever. So it may be attitudinal, but it may be possible to pick up some feedback on the impact of the site by perhaps interviewing people who have looked at the site, or asking a group to look at the site for the first time and give their immediate response as to how well the site looks and delivers the message. A hit rate counter, a visitor book, interactive forms and orders all provide information regarding the popularity of the site. The trouble with hit rate counters is they can be cheated. So they don't have a lot of don't have a good reputation, I should say. They can be cheated. They can be set at different levels and start from different levels. Visitor book, providing it's not filled out by the people who work in the company and their friends and their family and nobody else. So it's important that it's as objective as possible, that the results are real and there is no manipulation of the results. But there are different ways of looking at the popularity of the site, having said that. There is a tension between collecting information from forums and alienating the customer. Sometimes customers are asked for too much information, or they're contacted too frequently and they get fed up, they're not interested anymore, and they turn against the site because they don't like it anymore. It's not a nice thing to be constantly harassed when you're online to fill out forms, and people feel they have more of a life. So collecting information about sites can be off-putting, and it may damage the company if it is too vigorous in its efforts. More information may lead to greater service and a more forward site. However, customers may tire from filling out long and detailed registration forms. And sometimes forms ask for information that is unnecessary. Do we really need to know their precise address unless the company is going to write to them? In which case, if they're going to write to them, that could be spam mail, which will alienate the company. People didn't ask for it. It's a waste of resource. It's not even friendly in a green sense. It's not eco-friendly. It's using up paper and resources, and it's spamming people. It alienates them from the company. So when they're filling out online forms, what information is actually required? And there is a danger also that people will feel that in filling out the forms and the registration process, that information is going to be sold on to other databases, and they're going to be contacted from lots and lots of different companies. So they feel reticent about participating, and the fact that they were asked may turn them against the company as well. Internet commerce technology. Well, the first task is to register a domain name. That's quite straightforward. Normally, there are many companies online who will do this, and will also supply internet services. They will rent part of their server to the company, or they might even rent the server to the company. Depends on what the company wants. But by and large, unless the company is going to do something really big, a really big site, normally renting part of a hard drive on a server is sufficient. And the company will also register the domain name. It's a top-level domain name, which means normally it's a .com or a .co.uk or a .ie or a .org or whatever's appropriate. So the name is registered, and that's a legal possession. The company owns that name. And there are many sites offering this. They're all connected to the World Wide Web, and they can be looked up on the site whois.com. So by typing in www.whois.com, it's possible to look to see who owns sites and how to register a site even. You can register the site through Whois. Having registered an appropriate name, the site must be developed and then connected to the internet. Now the site is normally developed on a laptop or on a desktop computer. It's normally developed nowadays with specialist software. It used to be Dreamweaver and so on, but Expression Web from Microsoft, and there are many. Many of them are actually free downloads, and there's some open source ones. The idea of the editors are that it makes the development of the site easy. The person is able to type in, like on a word processor, in English and format the site, and the editor is automatically doing it in code. It's doing it in HTML, the hypertext markup language, which is what the internet uses. So the editor is converting what's been written into a web page. So it's getting easier to do websites. That's the point. Now this may be achieved in a number of ways. Well, by using as I said, space purchased on the server, that's one way of getting online, or buying a virtual server, that's another way. But there are different. You could actually have the server yourself. You could have a line to the internet yourself if you so wished. But it depends on costs. For most situations, for particularly smaller companies, renting a space on a hard drive is normally sufficient. Setting up a server is for heavy users only, where they need a big database and they need a lot of space, and that's for the really big companies who are going to perhaps sell online as well and have a lot of graphics and videos that they want to bring in online. Internet commerce technology. Well, internet sites all require appropriate software to enable them to function on CGI script, which is the Common Gateway Interface script, to enable them to communicate with each other. So it's important that there's a commonality between the user and the server and the users who are going to access the site, and that's through what's known as the Common Gateway Interface, CGI. In addition to internet commerce, requires special software to manage orders and collect payment. So internet commerce are special websites. They've got extra dimensions, normally to help them to collect the orders from customers, collect details about delivery and the type of goods that are ordered and the quantity and the price, and then take payment as well. This is maybe done through organizations like PayPal, who can collect online some money and store it. It's a bank, but it's an online bank, and the people using it will have an account with them, the same as in any other bank, and will be able to transfer from that bank into their own bank, or be able to use it as a banking facility. So internet commerce sites have an extra functionality. They have this order facility, this shop facility if you like, and they're able to take payments. Payment is usually by means of credit card, and this in turn requires a merchant account. If they're not using PayPal or some such facility, if the site is taking the payment directly, then it will use a credit card and have a merchant account. But that really is for quite sophisticated users and people who are large enough to justify having a merchant account with Visa, let's say. Shopping agents. Well, agents are search facilities that seek out items from many shopping sites. So shopping agents these are facilities that go to look at many shopping sites and come back with the information that's required. It's a search facility. They search by criteria defined by the shopper. The shopper types in that they want to buy a pair of shoes. They will specify the size and the color and perhaps the style, and the shopping agent will try to match that against sites who have that item in stock or very similar items in stock. They're becoming more popular. So this idea of bots that can go into the internet and do the searching and bring back information to the searcher. It's a very powerful technology, and it's what makes the internet so popular, because searching is facilitated and it's so easy to perform searches using this type of technology. Business-to-business transactions. Well, business-to-business e-commerce is between two or more business units who enter into transactions across the internet with a view to making a profit or reducing costs. So business-to-business transactions is collaboration between two businesses for whatever purpose. It may be related to the production of some physical item where the companies are dealing with each other online and buying online and selling online, might be selling raw materials or components. Or it could be services where the companies link together to provide an even bigger service than they've got skills themselves. So let's say, for example, a wedding planner maybe have an expertise in decorating a hotel room, but they wish to collaborate with somebody who does transport. So business to business communications via the internet may enable them to find suitable transport businesses and find out about each other and form contracts and then work together. But it all started by searching through the internet, so it's business to business transactions. But there are countless examples of business to business transactions, and these are dealt with in other videos in the course. Businesses usually cooperate in this way in order to bring about efficiencies in their supply chains. The whole idea is to reduce costs or increase profits. If it doesn't increase profits, there's no point in doing it. So the whole purpose of this type of collaboration is to have a benefit at the end, to increase profits. So these are some of the issues involved in setting up and using commercial sites. These are some types of sites that can be set up, and that's the technical background on doing it. The most important thing to bear in mind is that the final product, the site itself, should fit in with the corporate image that the business wants to deliver, and it must reinforce any thoughts or feelings that the customers had, positive thoughts or feelings that the customer had about the organization. When they look at the site, they should be convinced that this site is professional and there's been a lot of care gone into the production of the site. And if the company is that keen to produce a good site, then they will be that keen to produce a good product. So it creates in the mind of the visitor to the site the impression that this company is professional and it does what it says it's going to do. That's all we're going to do on this topic, so we're going to leave it at that and say thank you for watching.